Pro wrestling talk from the four corners of parts unknown. This is That Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome to That Wrestling Podcast. And surprise, it's Thursday. If you are listening to this on Thursday, I am on a plane to Las Vegas for UFC 269 festivities. So we thought we would record on Wednesday and put the podcast out on Thursday. But let's just go to what are you wearing?
What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today?
The weekly check-in on what 40-year-old men are wearing. It is a wrestling podcast. Wrestling shirts are mandatory. And Brian kind of showed what he was wearing, so we're just going to let Brian go.
Yeah, I said last week that I had two new additions that I bought on Black Friday. I said, yes, but we got something new. And, I went back and forth on this one a lot there because there were so many deals, so many options. But boy, with the announcement today that the one and only Big Daddy Cool, Big Sexy Kevin Nash coming to Harpo's at GCW January 14th, it shows I made the right choice because I have a vintage Diesel Power WWF newspaper print shirt. Couldn't have picked it any better.
All right, Joe, what do you got?
Brian, are you really excited to see the leader of the NWO Wolfpack at GCW? They are your favorite version of the NWO.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pass by that and go back to when he was Oz or Vinny Vegas, and we'll talk about those times instead.
Exactly, or Super Shredder. I am going with he's huge in Portland. Hot Rod, the Roddy Piper original will reprint. Old school
Retro.
shirt. I'm going with retro.
Just say retro, Joe.
Retro. Hey, it's Wednesday. I got word finding difficulties.
Kevin?
Yeah, I still have it on the list of shirts to buy. A Britt Baker or a Britt Baker DDS shirt, but
DMD, but whatever.
Or DMD. Sorry, it kind of ties into the shirt because I was getting ahead of myself. I decided to wear Isaac Yankum DDS.
Okay,
beautiful.
By the way, side point before you go, because you said your shirt is epic. I actually didn't know Britt Baker was still a dentist part-time.
Yeah.
Like she practices on Mondays and because I read a report on like her crazy schedule, which I just think is crazy, which is fantastic shit.
And apparently the wrestling creeps have been going to the dentist just because it's her dentistry in Florida.
Well, to be honest, I'm sure most of them wouldn't go to the dentist anyway. So at least they're getting their oral hygiene taken care of.
All right. So last week I won the award for the greatest t-shirt in the history of our great podcast t-shirt situation.
Self-appointed award, yes.
Yeah, there's only one vote, right?
Yes. That's the only vote that matters. This week,
single kid.
Participation trophy award, got it.
The second greatest shirt in the history of our great sport. Part of me wants to be dramatic and turn around. No, I'm not doing the $100 bet this week. You fucking guys all lost last week.
A Bastion Booger shirt.
Macho Man Slim Jim.
NWO too.
With the NWO logo on the bottom.
It's two-sided. It's from our friends at 2800 Studios that brought me the Oddity shirt a couple weeks ago. Get signed up on the 2800 Studio mailing list, because that's the only way they don't put their stuff up on public. You get an email, then you got to use a password to get in. Right now, I'm not going to say what it is, specifics, but if you are an ECW fan, get to 2800studio.com, get on their mailing list so you can see what their drops are, because they're very limited. So
great business practice.
If you want the limited merchandise, get on the mailing list. So don't forget, you can also pick up That Wrestling Podcast t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve, tank tops, and more at whatamaneuver.net. Just search That Wrestling Podcast. So WarGames happened over the weekend, and I thought it was an outstanding pay-per-view again. And it goes to show whether it's 2.0 or black and gold, they don't miss. Takeovers don't miss. Kevin, what'd you think of WarGames?
I usually go with a full breakdown, but I'm not going to do that this time. So we can all share a little bit. I'll just say this. The women brought it. I was like, how are the men gonna surpass that? And I didn't expect the men's event to go so like almost 40 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But I know with the time amount, you know what I mean? It takes a lot of time when one by one, but yeah, it was a fast show. What did you, Brian, what did you think? Which was the better WarGames match for you, the women's or the men's?
For me, it's the women's because full transparency, I haven't got to watch the men's one yet.
Oh!
But I will say I liked, okay, so the one thing I didn't like about it was it almost seemed like Wade Barrett was calling out that every single wrestler had to bring in a weapon. Why does the ring have 7 trash cans underneath it? Is the performance center that dirty that they need that many trash cans? What is that about? But
It is in Florida.
It is. It lends itself to that. Yeah. Yes. But no, I did think that match was a lot of fun, and I liked the story in that match of Cora Jade and the shoulder separation and Dr. EO pulling her arm back in, and how she actually picked up the victory. I thought that was really cool because most of the other wrestlers on her team were pretty well established. Her off the top of the cage kind of senton dive was sick through the table there. That was fantastic. So yeah, I got to get to the men's. I know Braun picked up the victory, which I predicted. So I need to see that to its fruition. But yeah, the ladies so far so good. And I did see the tag match with Imperium and Wagner and O'Reilly. So that was really good as well. But not surprised to hear you guys say thumbs up overall. And,
well, Brian, I think it's time we can put it out there that your new Polar Express Pittsburgh Steeler podcast is coming soon, which is why you couldn't watch the main event of WarGames. Joe, what'd you think of the takeover?
I gotta agree that I thought the women's WarGames match was better than the men's. I thought the men's dragged a little bit. Maybe it's because it was at the end and I was already exhausted, but the fact that the women told more of a story, and the spot that besides the Swanton off of there, I gotta say that the spot that I really thought was most memorable was Dakota Kai in the garbage can.
Oh yeah,
I've never seen that before. Great. I'm like, that was new. She's in there and gets swung around by Raquel Gonzalez, and I was like, okay, this is entertaining. Thought it was a good match. I like the tag match. I like that Kyle O'Reilly wasn't stupid enough to fall for the turn, and yeah, overall good takeover as always.
2 things none of you have brought up is Joe Gacy and how amazing he is, and Johnny Gargano's gear, a compilation of all of his Marvel gear over the years. Now, when we get into the TV, we'll talk a little bit about what's next for Johnny. Kevin, you get the last word on takeover.
Yeah, Cameron Grimes match was pretty fun as well. I personally liked the men's WarGames a little bit more than the women's. The women's was fantastic. Just certain points of the men's. The one moment really made me laugh was Braun trying to cut the chain link, and he was like, and then he was like trying to rip it off the camera, like it looked like it cut. So maybe they were trying to help him, and then he finally got it. And Gargano and Tomasa doing a little DIY. Some of their old moves, and just seeing the emotion from them, and it just seemed like it was like hard hitting, like they knew they had to probably bring it to look better than the women in theirs, because the women, they set the bar high, but man, just throwing against each other in the cage and like just nasty falls. I thought it was a fantastic story, made Braun look extremely like a monster, and he's still likable, right? He was with a bunch of heels, but then he looks like the future, of NXT. That cemented him looking like the future of NXT.
I mean, it's obvious with Triple H out, people don't know how to use bolt cutters. So that's what the deal is. Yeah, I mean, it's, it is what it is. That's why luckily there was 10 other guys in the ring. They could cut to the ring and not worry about it. And yeah, Braun Breaker now is a big deal, not just because of WarGames, but I feel that with his presentation on NXT TV this week, it felt like a big deal. And for me, this is the first time Braun Breaker with 2 Ks, which is stupid, felt like a big deal. I even like the name now. I didn't like the name at first.
Yeah,
I am all in on Braun Breaker. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm missing something. Didn't Kyle O'Reilly turn on Wagner at the pay-per-view?
No,
Wagner turned on O'Reilly.
Oh,
but O'Reilly
I thought it
knew it was coming.
He kept on going
so
like
he turned around and said, "You can't get me. I'm not dumb enough to fall for that."
Okay, so that's why
he already fell for it.
That's why Wagner was getting booed on TV. And of course, if you go back a couple episodes where I thought O'Reilly and Wagner could be the new Shawn and Diesel, I'm obviously wrong. And we don't know what's going to happen with Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, he got
retribution
beat down.
Will still be a thing.
I'm digging up those old bones.
All three of them are still in the WWE, so it could happen, asshole. So we don't know what's going to happen to Kyle O'Reilly. You usually go out on your back, and if he's done, that's a great way to write him off TV, getting beat down in the cage on NXT television. I got a text message. I'm going to read it. And when I read it, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And the text message is from Brian.
Oh,
from
doesn't
Brian.
sound like something I do, but we'll go right ahead. I would
Brian
text
still
something
uses
cool.
Tout.
No, it wasn't cool.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Carlito.
Where's my apple?
How about that ending to NXT?
Oh,
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Yep.
How
is that
about
when you
that
said-
ending to NXT, Brian? What did
that when
you
you
think
said-
of it?
Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. You were so angry.
I'm on the
Okay.
West Coast. I don't get to watch it when you clowns do. But what did you think of that ending, Brian?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was perfect. I thought we all saw it. I mean, Gargano speaking from the heart, he really embodies NXT more than anybody, right? He just has that in his veins. And he gave this great speech, and the talk in the back of your head, as well as contracts up, what's going to happen. He talks about having his baby in February, all this stuff. And then of all people, freaking Grayson Waller, who he is the Paul brothers, the Jake Paul, Logan Paul. He's that character right now of like, I'm getting the views, I want the likes and all that. And he takes him out. So it's one of two things, right? Either Gargano's re-signing and you've got a big feud when he comes back, presumably after they have their baby in February, or he is gone and he's done. And you just built this Grayson Waller guy to be the a-hole that took out the heart of NXT. Absolutely loved it.
I hated it.
Oh my goodness.
The
I
anticipation for the ending, all that.
No, I hate
3
the
hours.
crowd.
Oh,
We've already established the Florida people fucking suck. All the chants. Shut the fuck up. Let the guy talk. They didn't chant this shit every time there was a break when Mark Henry was fake retiring with the salmon jacket. Let the guy talk. And then the beatdown, it's obvious he's resigned. He's coming back, whether it's next month, it's after the kid. But they gave it away. They absolutely gave away that he has resigned, even though nothing has gone public about his contract status.
Can I talk about what happened after the show now?
That's exactly
As
what I
my
was
counterpoint to that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so that was kind of, as the show goes off the air, that's kind of where I was leaning to. Like, okay, they got an angle. He'll be back, 4 or 5 months down the road. But then it leaked on Twitter from fans in the arena that they really did the whole goodbye celebration to Johnny.
Got to work the marks.
Ciampa, and if they did, then, you reeled me in, because this is where I kind of flipped to, boy, I think he actually is done. Ciampa comes down there. You guys can find it all on Twitter. Ciampa comes down. They're sitting in the ring together. O'Reilly comes out. The three of them are all like there. Shawn Michaels comes out. By the way, there's a halfway creepy photo of Shawn. Talking
halfway?
about shit. I think the Heartbreak Kid might have slipped one past the goalie there. Yes, Heartbreak is touching Candace's belly, right? They're out there.
All right, this is for Brian and Kevin.
Yeah.
When your wives were pregnant, did people touch their bellies that weren't you, men-wise?
Laura hated it.
I would let Shawn Michaels do it if he asked me.
Yeah,
but no one else.
Would you wear your new Diesel shirt?
Yes. So that part of it, if they're going all this way to do all of that, and that makes me think that, boy, he might really say it's time to move on. And he kind of alluded that into the speech of, like, something about change and, you got to, move on, sort of thing. And, maybe that means he's going to come back and go to Raw or SmackDown, right? Who knows? There's so many things. I haven't come to a conclusion, but I've changed my opinion to leaning toward, I think he is actually done, and Grayson Waller is going to get the push.
Wow. Well, you're wrong. Kevin,
time will tell.
What did you think of MSK finding the shaman?
The lead up to them finding Riddle, right? The last couple of weeks, it's kind of silly. They're terrible actors. But them finding Riddle and then being like, oh, I see you brought a bag. You care to share. Like, I was like,
sharing is caring, bro.
Or sharing. Like, it was hilarious. Like, and he's like, I'm going to be there the next couple of weeks. So it'd be, I hope Riddle's going to be like, kind of like, a mentor. Take him to the ring. You know what I mean? Have it more fun like that, where they can have a Riddle presence. Cause Riddle's on fire. Right.
Did you ever see the MSK's Impact stuff?
No. So
their gimmick was they all hung out in a treehouse, and it was very similar to this thing with Riddle, but it was like that 70s show where they would they would go around the room with like the puff pass situation. And that looks like that's the angle they're going with MSK in NXT, which, I mean, whatever, it's goofy, it's fun. But like, MSK, I mean, they won the tournament, they won the belts. I mean, they really kicked ass in the beginning, but I don't know how you rebuild. And I don't know if Riddle is the answer. So
well, the thing is,
I disagree. I think
themselves on that because of it. So that it was good. They brought that out in the open.
Riddle has totally turned me around, but it's like, I got to disagree, because they needed something to get that stupid NXT crowd back on the good graces of MSK. And Riddle is so over with any crowd right now with his shenanigans that it works. I didn't expect it to happen. And I love the fact that he went, and I miss my broserweight. Like, and MSK just gave a look like he's not dead. Like, what are you doing?
Joe, anything else from NXT TV?
No, I think you hit on the whole shaman thing. And I do got to say, the Kyle O'Reilly cage match, what was he, about 2 feet away from the door when it kept slamming on him? It's like, it was so weak. So, I mean, Big E's hand took more of a beating when he had the door slammed on him on Monday night than Kyle O'Reilly being taken off of TV. But other than that, I thought it was a decent episode of 2.0. I think it's about time that the old black and gold guard move on. They're kind of reminding me of the ECW originals against the new breed. And I think it's time for them to pass the baton and either move up or move on.
Like LA Knight.
It's trending that way.
He needs to move on.
I think it's now, like, after War Games, I think it's time to pass the baton over, really make it the 2.0 show.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the future. And Monday Night Raw, I think it's better when Bob Lashley is on the show. I mean, he beat the shit out of everybody. Like, he did what he's supposed to do. I don't want it to be a fatal 4-way at day one, but if we get it, okay, I'm all good. But the one thing I didn't like about Raw, and this is it's wrestling in general, but it really popped out again on Raw, was the fucking sneaker wars.
I knew you would say something.
But I'm not going in the direction you think I would. I love sneakers. I've got like 85 pairs I have a sneaker room in my house. But the constant, everybody in AEW is wearing Jordan 1s or big name hype shoes that come out that week. Give me something different. Give me an Iverson. Give me a Reebok Pump. Give me an Air Raid. Give me a KD. Kyrie Irving, LeBron. What's that, something.
Is that a Jordan?
You want these? These
or
are.
is that just?
Is that Air Monarchs? Air Dad. Those are the dad shoes.
Give me a pair of Shaquille O'Neal black top pumps.
Those are Air Paylesses, I think.
These are.
Give me some Larry Johnson Converse. Also,
now we're talking.
What do you want? Shaq from Walmart.
I'm just over it. I'm over it.
The thing is, I agree with you because of the fact where 99.99% of wrestling fans can't afford those $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 shoes. So
exactly.
I look and I'm like, oh, those are sweet. I said it a couple weeks ago. I'm like, oh, the Young Bucks shoes are pretty awesome. I'll never pay.
But the point is,
never own them.
All they're doing is buying what's brand new. The sneakers app has the big. They're fucking hype beasts. And I've read reports that some of the shoes the Young Bucks wear are fakes because obviously you don't want to pay $2,000 for a pair of kicks just to ruin them in a wrestling match. But I'm just over it. I'm over it. Jericho got beat down like 2 weeks ago on AEW, and he's wearing fucking bright white and black Jordan 1s. Britt Baker, every picture online is fucking Jordan 1s. I got a closet full of Jordan 1s, but I'm just over it. And even though Edge had a Jordan 3, which doesn't get a lot of love, I love Jordan 10s. Someone rolls out in a Jordan 10 next week, we know they listen. What did you guys think of Miz TV? We'll start with Brian.
Good stuff, man. No, both those guys are absolute masters, and I mean, really playing off of the week before, how Edge of talking about the who should I face next, and Miz feeling disrespected. It's like he comes out and he does Miz TV this week, and it's like, God damn, you're right. You're so good. You're so good. And I think we've all talked, maybe even on last week's show, about how this could possibly lead to maybe Miz versus Edge and their respective ladies, Phoenix and Maurice, maybe at Mania or something like that. But loved it. Keep it going. Only point docking for Miz was he challenged Edge for January 1.
Yeah, he had a couple flubs, which normally he's really good, but he had a couple flubs this week.
Happens. Stay one.
Yep. I really enjoyed that they had Liv and Becky main event on the anniversary of Trish and Lita's main event.
Cool. Nice nod to that.
The angry girl in the front row is a fucking plant. No way that girl was real. She's no Miz girl. It's a fucking plant.
She looked less angry to me and more confused. Did anybody else get that vibe? Like, Miz girl was like the death stare.
Yeah.
This girl kind of had a blank look on her face, like,
I don't know what happened.
Man. So I don't know. I don't think she's gonna get as much traction.
She's as
Miz
legit
girl.
as tag team champion Nicholas. Total plant.
Yeah. But what I liked about the main event, Liv's video package made her feel like a big deal. And Graves, as she was coming to the ring, I thought maybe Liv could win. Like, I really thought maybe it was going to actually happen. Joe, what'd you think of the main event other than fake Miz girl?
I thought it was a good match. I liked the ending of Becky doing the rope, pulling the tights again, like she did against Charlotte. I mean, she's the heel. She has to win by those means. Doesn't mean that now they're all over Twitter and Instagram and all over social media. Does Liv deserve a rematch? She'll get one at day one, but I don't see her winning. But I think that they established her as, okay, this is someone that we can keep around instead of just like, she had her shot. It's over. Good luck in catering. No, that's not going to happen with Liv, at least not for 2022.
A year ago, I never thought I would have been good with watching a Liv Morgan match from start to finish. I thought it was really, really good. Kevin, any thoughts on Raw?
Joe kind of hit it right on the head. If she didn't look good in that main event, I feel next list of future endeavors. She looked like she belonged. You mentioned the video package. The one gripe I always have about Liv Morgan, though, it's like in the back, she always looks like she wants to cry.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
And then, right?
She has the tears too.
Like all,
Yeah.
but like, it's just like, get angry, like show some more passion. But I thought she looked good in the ring. I thought the match when it started, didn't start like 23 minutes before the 11 o'clock. I was just like, okay.
They gave him time.
They gave him
good
time.
A couple commercial breaks. They made Liv Morgan, and I'm pretty excited to see what happens in the future. Before we get into AEW TV, I listened to a brand new podcast this week, and I absolutely love it. And I think that if you are into the inside workings of pro wrestling, WWE specifically, Brian, I know you're into this shit. Wrestling with Freddie, aka WWF.
Oh, yes.
Freddie Prinze Jr. has a brand new podcast talking about his time as a writer and the things he had to do while working at WWE. Now, our social team tweeted out about it and also mentioned the time that Freddie told me I couldn't sit with him at a show in Hollywood, and Freddie Prinze Jr. responded. Here is what Freddie wrote back after they said that, Freddie told Jason he couldn't sit with him. Quote, "No one may place their buttocks in the homie seat but the homie." Close quote. So thanks, Freddie Prinze Jr. But definitely go check out Wrestling with Freddie. There's a story in episode 2 about a promo meeting where Vince had Sheamus and Wade Barrett acting told him to act like dogs. And then in episode 4 that came out today, Wednesday, it's the story of what Awesome Kong really was supposed to do when she came to WWE before the pulling the heads off the Barbie dolls.
Yeah.
Dude, this is a great podcast. They're about 40 minutes to an hour. Dude, go check out Wrestling with Freddie because it was awesome. But do that after you finish this episode. We're going to get into AEW TV. I did not get to watch it. So, Joe, you saw the beginning. Kevin saw the middle. And you saw the whole
I saw the beginning.
Yeah.
That's all I saw.
Brian saw the end. I saw
I'll start with the beginning. CM Punk comes out to MJF's music.
Nice swerve. I like that.
Yeah, he did. And he was definitely the heel. And he played
they were
the
in Long
heel.
Island, right?
Yep,
And
they played the heel.
They boo him and cheer
they
him
booed him, but they didn't boo him very loud. So he kept calling them out, going like, "Chicago's better. Come on, you can do better than that." Like, and my only gripe about it, because he finally gave his heel promo that, Jason, you should watch it because we've been waiting for this side of Punk. I wish he wouldn't have relied so much on "your sports team sucks" in the promo. He mentioned that the Islanders have not won a home game. Well, I think I counted 5 times.
Well, you know why,
that promo.
Right? You know why, right?
Because he's a huge Blackhawks fan.
So
and they haven't played there.
The Islanders had a 13-game road swing to start the season, because the brand new
'cause the new
arena wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Right.
So they played like 13 to 15 games on the road, and they've only played a handful of games in New York. So that's why they've said, "Oh, you can't win here."
And
so that's
one thing that was like funny because he did the whole heel thing about it was he's like, "Oh, congratulations, you beat Ottawa last night. That's like me beating QT Marshall."
Yeah, that was funny.
That's a good
That's
one.
funny.
So, but Kevin, what did you think of
what
Punk's
else
promo?
happened after? What else happened? What else happened? Anything else after Punk's promo?
Well, there was one thing that I have to make fun of Kevin's boy for, but go ahead.
After that, he left. Punk was fantastic. He left. It went to commercial. Came back. Like a promo video package ran for MJF, and it was like, all state linebacker, most tackles in a season, freshman varsity wrestling
Glee club,
never taken down, captain of the acapella group Acafellas. And then it was like, holds the playing field. Is that it? Plainview.
Well, he was that guy who's 25 years old and still has his varsity jacket, which he wore to the ring like a giant D-bag.
But a few other things. It was like, holds the record for 1 minute, 38 seconds of a keg stand. And he's good with the ladies. And like, you just see like
pulling chicks.
Then it like fades. Then you hear his music. Place goes crazy. And like, you can see he's getting emotional, right? Like see it in his face.
Was he?
Oh, he looked like he was like.
Well, I don't look so closely at his face as you do.
Well, what are you looking at? His body?
I'm just basically just
walking out. What are you gonna look at?
No, I'm not as invested as you are. I was just thinking that he came out as his normal self,
taking it all in.
No,
I think I was thrown back by the fact that he was wearing his varsity jacket from when he was in high school.
It was funny. Like a lot of signs, like little girls with "We hate MJF" signs. And it was I thought it was a great start. Just the promo, him walking out for the battle royal, leading, the winner is going to get the was it Dynamite Diamond ring, winner of that
the match next week.
Yeah. MJF and Dante Martin's going to be next week. So that battle royal is actually a lot better than I expected it to be. It was fun.
Do you want to mention how Dante Martin may be breaking the record for most face heel turns from the Big Show?
Again?
He turned on Team Taz tonight. It's been
that's right after I joined
2
in the
times
show, and I was
in
like,
2 weeks.
Brian, was MJF's mom there? I saw that tweet you posted about her. She wrote that she posted something on Twitter. There was a sign. Is that you?
I didn't do that, but I did see that as well. Yeah, it was like probably his second grade picture, and the caption said, "This is the last time my son wasn't an asshole." Props to mom and dad for playing into it. But yeah, they were there. They were there. I don't know if they showed him on camera. I didn't see that, but
what was the main event?
It was Johnny Hungee versus
nice.
Bryan Danielson. It was Danielson plowing through the Dark Order once again. I only caught probably the last half of the match, but it's about as you expected. Danielson wins. Basically, basically knocked out, tapped out, if you will. Silver. Doctors are checking on him. Danielson on mic says, I promised I was going to kick his head in. So he goes to do that. Hangman comes and runs down, makes the save. We'll see you next week at Winter is Coming.
Sounds like a pretty basic episode of Dynamite. Not too bad. I might try to get to that later tonight. But what we are going to get to is something that's been gone for a few weeks. It's time for the 5 count.
That Wrestling Podcast presents the 5 count.
All right, so this week's 5 count, I described it as 5 hot takes. Brian, of course, had to question it. So it's 5 things that we think is going to happen in 2022. Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
Number 5, clarification on all 5 count topics without me asking. Okay, no. So yes, hot takes. These are like our predictions of what's going to happen for the year. My number 5, Kevin Owens will debut in AEW early in 2022, and he is going to win the Owen Hart Memorial Cup. That they haven't announced the details of it yet, but they said it's going to be coming. And if you know Kevin Owens, Owen Hart was his favorite wrestler. He named his son Owen after Owen Hart, much like a member of the show named it after one of their favorite wrestlers. You guys know who that is.
Must be a cool guy.
Must be. So yeah, that's my number 5. Owens AEW, or it'll probably be Kevin Steen at that point, right? Stay cool. Keep rocking.
Stay cool.
Keep rocking.
Over under 95 watches, right, Kev? What are we taking over?
First night.
Yeah. All right. Number 4, Austin Theory. He's going to win the Raw World Championship before the year is over. He's got the rocket ship on him, man. Vince is in his ear. I think he becomes champion before the year is over. Number 3, Omos is the runner up in the Royal Rumble. It seems like they're teasing him and AJ splitting their ways. And I mean, he is such a freaking monster. I think he gets in the Rumble and they give him the treatment where he throws out 15 guys, but I don't think he's ready for a main event spot at WrestleMania. So I
hope not.
So yeah, he'll get eliminated second to last or last. He's not going to win it, but he's going to do great. And we'll say he's the runner up. Number 2, going back to AEW, Wardlow is going to split from MJF. There's been teasing of that, and he's going to do that. I think his potential is great, and he will win the TNT championship at some point this year and have a long reign. My number 1, boy, I could not think of one for a long, long time. This is a shot in the dark, but that's what makes this fun, right? Number 1 is Triple H will have a retirement match. Triple H, we know maybe 3 months ago now, had a heart attack or as WWE like to say, procedure. Like a heart-related incident at a local medical facility. No one really knows. And he's starting, I think there's videos of him online doing a tour of the facility. So I don't know, Jerry Lawler's still wrestling and he almost died on Monday Night Raw 10 years ago, right? After having a heart attack. So I think Triple H much better shape and age wise. So we'll say, I don't know if it happens at Mania, maybe one of the Saudi Arabia shows. They always pull out the big stuff for that as well. But Triple H will have his retirement match in 2022.
Okay. So I'll go next. Becky Lynch, number 5. Becky Lynch will turn face, but will lose the Raw Women's title to Doudrop. I think that Doudrop is getting a lot of run lately with big names. Mm-hmm. So why not have her win the Raw Women's title? So that's number 5. Number 4, I think the WWE will purchase Ring of Honor, which is the library and whatever else comes with it. I don't think they'll relaunch it. I do believe that this will lead to WWE selling everything to an NBC, a Fox, maybe Disney. Who knows? That's my number 4.
Oh.
Number 3, we talked about him earlier. Johnny Gargano will have a Daniel Bryan-like run in WWE on the main roster. Obviously, I don't think he'll be main event in WrestleMania, but I do think this year he will get on the main roster and he will have a huge, huge run. Number 2, AEW. I believe Rampage is going to switch days and times. We've talked before how nobody watches because it's taped. And my idea is keep it on TNT, but do it Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock. We all talk about the 1-hour wrestling show, the love we have for it. Put it on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Obviously at 10 a.m. they can't go, as edgy as they could, but maybe this is something that they consider, unless they are going to try to go up against Impact or, who's on, or NXT again, who knows. But I do think that if you switch it up, do something a little different. I was going to say 6:05, but no, just keep it on TNT Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And number 1, Austin Theory will win the world title this year.
Hey, look at that. Great minds.
Which will begin his ascent He will be the next John Cena, the next star, the next cornerstone, the man for WWE. And it all starts in 2022.
Love it.
So that's my 5 count. Kevin, go ahead.
Yes. Number 5. Brian, you mentioned a Royal Rumble. Slight prediction. I'm gonna predict Bianca will win the women's Royal Rumble, so she can stop saying she got cheated at SummerSlam, yada yada, and then she's gonna challenge Becky for that WrestleMania match. Number 4,
Rumble wins. Then Kevin,
yep, back to back. Number 4. Jay, you're. It's a question leading into my number 4 because I don't know the timing. When does AEW do their ladder type matches with the Joker?
That's I think that's Double or Nothing, the Casino Battle Royale. But they all have a Casino Battle Royale of some sort.
That's where I'm thinking with my number 4. Isaiah Swerve Scott will be the Joker in the next ladder match.
Revolution, probably.
I was trying to think. I'm just like, man, I want someone, good that got unfortunately released from WWE. And this week he's been just putting a lot of pictures with AEW superstars and wrestlers and the AEW talent. So I'm just like, you know what? Leo Rush was there and Leo's getting some good matches. I'm like, why not Swerve? Put Swerve. I think it's going to be great.
Before you go on to the next one, something similar, a story that came out this week. Sammy Guevara said that Top Dollar will never be in AEW. So I don't know what the hell that's all about, but keep your eyes peeled for that one. Go ahead, Kevin. Number 3, right?
Number 3. I think Braun Breaker. He's gonna be on the main roster in 2022.
Ooh, wow.
I don't predict the title, but I feel like the rocket ship's gonna be, and I think he's just gonna be such a big fish in NXT's outlook. I think they're going to want to push him and not like a Karrion Kross type of situation. Breaker, I just feel with his singlets are so Steiner-esque. I feel
what is your percentage that this is going to happen?
Well, there's a 66% chance that he's going to make it through the next takeover times 43% plus 192% that he's going to make it main roster. Number 2, similar to what Brian mentioned, I do think Wardlow and MJF are going to separate. There's a point in the Battle Royal. I had 8 total, and I started crossing.
Of course you did.
And I was making some, and I was just like, throughout the last couple of days. And this one was a late bloomer on my list, just seeing Wardlow and Hobbs kind of just going at it a little bit, and just those behemoths staring at each other. I want MJF and Wardlow to have a falling out. I want those guys to tag up as a tag team. I think Hobbs has a little bit more personality on the mic than Wardlow, but they both look like $1 million. They're both massive dudes. I feel like they can, maybe Hobbs will leave Team Taz. Team Taz has to dissipate anyway. It's so bad. And then number 1, I think Gargano is 100% out of NXT. He will stay within the WWE banner, go to the main roster, and bring Ciampa with him. Not necessarily to tag, but Tommaso has always said he will never leave NXT. He will never go to the main roster. He'd rather retire. But those guys are such, good buddies, good friends. They have so much emotional, ties with each other. I think Tommaso finally makes that jump. Kind of good to go with what Joe mentioned earlier, with the 2.0 brand kind of not pushing out, but showing there are further lands for the black and the yellow brand. But with those NILs coming in, all those 15 signees, they're going to want to get a lot of fresh blood. Ciampa leaves with Gargano. Gargano comes and he's like, I didn't come alone. And both guys, don't know, Raw, SmackDown, it could be either. I just don't want to see Gargano leave. I don't want to see him get lost in AEW.
All right, Joe, what do you got?
All right. Number 5. Oh, out of my 5 count, I didn't ask my wife if she could make a prediction. So one of these is hers. thought I had some fun. She watches enough of it, and she sometimes is right. So I'm going to tell you which one is hers when we get to it. Number 5.
Sometimes is right.
Sometimes is right. He doesn't listen. I can say whatever I want. Number 5.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Finn
Joe.
Balor.
Say something edgy. Go ahead. Say something a little different.
Well, yeah, if she
Love
can't
you.
hear you, if she can't hear
She's
you,
still upstairs.
if she can't hear you, don't say hers and give your 5 count.
Right.
I know.
Unless hers is actually good. You're like, oh, that's good.
I think hers is actually pretty good.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it's a pretty, it's a decent prediction. Number 5, I think Finn Balor is going to be in AEW by the end of the year.
Interesting.
I'm going with it. I think Kevin Owens was an obvious one. No offense, Brian, but I was going to put him, but I wanted to go something a little bit more out there. And if I'm wrong, who cares? It's my number 5. Number 4, I got to disagree with you, Jason. There will be no new women's WWE champion. Every champion in the women's division will be someone who's had the belt before. There will not be a new WWE champion. So it's going to be Becky. It's going to be Bianca. It's going to be Charlotte. It's going to be Asuka if she ever comes back. It's going to be Natalya, which Brian will love. It could be Carmella. We are not going to have a new women's champion in WWE in 2022.
And you're wrong.
The way the trend's
Liv Morgan's going to win
don't-
on day 1 and ruin that prediction on
It will.
day
It
1
could.
of the year.
That's why I did it.
Let's do it.
Number 3, this is Jessica's prediction. Vince McMahon will step down from WWE by the end of 2022.
All right.
And I quote, because he is so old. That was her
Aw.
response. It's like, he looks so old and so exhausted anytime he is on TV that he is going to step down. And she's like, with everything that's happening with all the releases, he is done. Number 2, I can't believe no one said this. Who took my Thank you, Brian.
Who took my egg?
Brian is the undisputed winner of the chat tonight.
Thank you.
Number 2, I can't believe no one said this. Undertaker, Hall of Fame.
Okay,
I
sure.
said this like 4 weeks ago.
I know, but why didn't I? It's supposed to be
You
that.
did.
Number 1.
I mapped out an entire evening
You did.
for the
You
Undertaker.
did, but no one said it tonight. And that, I mean, unless I read the fine print wrong of tonight's 5 count, Brian, I think that still deserved to be mentioned. Number
Whatever.
1, Roman Reigns is still going to be Universal Champ for all of
Wow.
2022.
Thought about that one.
He is going to get the 4-year Hogan run.
Scorching hot take there, Joe. Scorching hot on number 1. I think Jess has had more fire than your number 1. So.
Hey, that's why I gave her one.
Yeah. So that is this week's 5 count. Welcome back.
Who made your 5 count? Let us know on social media using the hashtag TWP5count.
All right, we're just about out of time, but this is always the time where we check in with Brian about the NFL picks. What happened this past week?
Whoa. It was a rough week for the kiddos, but specifically for Harper. 0-3. She had all of her teams were the letter B. She had the Bengals. She had the Bills. She had the Broncos, and they all lost. Brett had one different. He had the Chiefs over the Broncos, so he gets a win. He picks up a game. The kids are now, Harper is 19-16-1.
And
Brett,
grounded.
right behind Brett at 18-17-1. So we're one game apart from the dream scenario of the 12 mega flight with hopefully we got just a few short weeks remaining, guys. We are adding to week 14, and of course they are doing with the 17 game season, but there's a 1 week wild card or 1 week bye, 18 weeks. So we are down to, if my math serves me correctly, 5 games left, 5 weeks left to pick. So it's anybody's game.
So what week are we going into?
You're going into week 14.
So since Harper went 0-3, can Brett be the thumbnail for this week's video? Because he is never the thumbnail. Like, you're going to ruin this kid when he's older, when he has to go to therapy. My dad made me do these stupid pics with his friends, and Brian would never make me the thumbnail. So I think you need to make Brett the thumbnail this week for Harper going on 3.
Listen, Brett, go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we were eating dinner tonight because we usually try to film Wednesdays. Sometimes he says, no, I'm not fighting that 5.5-year-old. I know better. So we usually have the backup for Thursdays. Yeah. We're eating dinner tonight. He's like, Dad, we doing football picks? And I'm like, well, what do you think? Because we always brainstorm, because he's like, tries to one up, right? He's high behind Santa, sit on the couch.
He's the character, man.
And so this week, it should be funny. It should be funny.
Okay. I have a $50 bet.
Give requests as well.
Do it with Santa. Go to the mall.
Oh.
If one of you pull that off, I will give the first one of you to get it done $50.
All right.
In PayPal.
And have Santa call Jason a Mark. I'll throw in another 50 for that one. I want to hear Santa make a pick. I want to hear him and Santa go, Jason, you're a Mark.
Can it be a Mark, or does it have to be a Matt Cardona, you're a fucking Mark? What he said.
No,
can it just
you're
be Mark?
A Mark.
Okay.
Ho, ho, ho.
I know. We don't want Santa swearing in front of the kids.
Yeah, and we don't need
Santa swearing in front of the kids.
Because all I can see is me do it, and Brett's going to be like, Santa, you're going on the naughty list.
you guys know that there would be a picture sent to all of you with Harper in front of a very vulgar Christmas sweater we saw at the mall the other day. If Santa would say something like that.
All right, so the wager is there. We'll see if
love
one
it.
of you two pull it off. We're about out of time. Don't forget to follow on social media at thatwrestlepod. Subscribe on YouTube. All of our show videos are there. All of the pick videos with Brett not being the thumbnail. And everything that is this show is on YouTube. So go check that out. We will talk to you next week on That Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks for listening. Follow That WrestlePod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
1, 2, 3, that's it!